Are you good to go, Anastasia? I can leave you backstage for another couple of minutes if you wish, but give me a thumbs up if you are happy to come out front. I can see a plant behind you.
Yes.
Are you good? Good. How you doing? All right?
I'm good. I was just trying to get some dinner because I realized.
Yeah, I've been there many times.
Oh wait,
And
here we go.
yeah. So Coco had some issues there at the end of that second set, right?
Mm-hmm.
Double faults, 4 in a row, I think, in one service game.
Yeah.
And Damien was talking about in the previous stream about the windy conditions as well, and just yeah. I mean, of course, she's still only 1 win away from the semi-finals.
Right. Exactly. You know, I think I do think she will make it to the semifinals.
Mm-hmm.
This match will kind of inform me more. Like seeing these two play together will give me more. 1 second. What was that?
By the way, it's an unfamiliar environment. I'm looking at you with some plantage behind you.
Oh, I have tons, a lot. This is the first time you've seen them, but I have a lot of plants. No, sorry. I paused there because Ons Jabeur did this weird sort of bend over thing, and I was like, "Is she okay?"
Oh, I see. Okay.
Is the match about to be over? Because I think she is still nursing a little bit of a knee injury.
Yeah.
So I didn't know for sure. But yeah, that match was, I think I tweeted, I think I might be an Iga fan now.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
That was just, you know, I think when Coco beat her, everyone was talking about like, oh, it's a, you know, here comes the rivalry, and it's now going to be even keeled, and they're going to fight for this. And the very next time she played her in Beijing, I think, it was sort of like, nope,
back to normal.
We're not doing that. And she kind of confirmed that today. I mean, in the first set, it was just classic Iga. She was just like, I'm just going to win every single point. And then in the second set, when it became difficult for her, it was all about problem solving. It was all about like, how do I get out of this? And how do I win this match in this set? You know, I think she was so focused. I think I was on a Twitter space, and it was, I think it was the 1-all game in the second set. And Iga had just won 6-0. It was 1-all. And then she was mad about like the hit she made. And you could just tell her slight perfectionism there, where she was like, it wasn't what she wanted to do, even though it gave her the point. So it was a very interesting watch. And I just think Iga seems to be sort of player where, you know, she's not going to let a head-to-head flip on her without her giving it her all to try. And unfortunately, Coco did a bit of a Sabalenka there. She just let it get to her head. I think she let it get to her head, and she didn't know how to reset and get back to center. And the match wasn't going her way, and she just didn't know how to just mentally get there. So I think
she couldn't arrest the slide. I mean, I've seen Miles as well talking about it, but Damien as well in commentary, that she was just not a happy camper through large parts of that match.
Oh no, she was not. It was, you know, there were moments where you're like, oh no, is she gonna cry? And she just wasn't, you know. And yes, it's super windy there today, but you know, this is what you get with an outdoor sport. Conditions change, things are different, but I just feel like she couldn't get her mind back into the match. And even though the second set was a little bit competitive, Iga kept pushing and kept asking questions.
Yeah.
That was...
Yeah, she wasn't going to get an easy game. She wasn't going to get an easy hold. I mean, even one of the holds that she had just before, I think, had 3 or 4 deuces. And the other thing as well that Damien mentioned in commentary, he noticed that there was a stat going around about how her speed was about, Iga's was pretty much identical to their match in Cincinnati on the service speed, but Coco's was way down. So I don't know if there's any recurrence of an injury that I think she may have had lingering from about 3 weeks ago. Miles said it, I think, about 2 or 3 days ago, that she picked up an injury during the Asian swing, and it was not, he wasn't convinced about her.
Yeah, I don't think they ever confirmed it was an injury. I just know that
she pulled out of one tournament. I forget which one it was, but she pulled out of one that she had entered into after the 1000. Yeah.
After Beijing.
Yeah, the Beijing's the 1000, I think, and
yeah,
then she's going to play a 250, I think, the week after, or 500.
Oh, I see. I didn't know she was supposed to play 250. I do know in her last match in Beijing, she was having her shoulder massaged. So
right,
I thought,
exactly, and that was the other thing that Miles was talking about. Yeah,
right. So I was like, oh, that might be it, but I mean, I did not see anything.
No, it's just pure speculation. I'm just putting 2 and 2 together and potentially making 5. It was just that her service speeds were down today.
Yes, they were. She wasn't really hitting her serves.
And then there was 4 double faults in one game as well, which doesn't help.
No, it doesn't. But I think, again, that all had to do with the mental space she was in, and not so much. I didn't see anything that indicated there was maybe an injury.
Regarding Ons and Marketa, I see we've already got a break of serve for Ons.
Yes.
And Vondrousova is now an advantage on her serve. The loser, I think, pretty much goes home. I'm just trying to do the math. Well, let me just think about this. If Iga wins her 3rd match, actually, there is a scenario where Iga wins all 3, and then Vondrousova. No. Who's Iga playing in the last match? Hang on a second. Let me get this right. Iga's playing
Marketa.
Ons in her last match.
Oh, is she playing Ons? Oh, no, she played Marketa first.
Yeah, exactly. So Iga plays Ons. So if Vondrousova wins today and Ons beats Iga, no, that won't put them through, because I think the loser today goes home, or is done, I think. I'm just trying to work it out if there's a scenario. So this is almost a shootout as well, in that the winner of this stays alive and the loser is done.
Right.
Iga with 2 wins, I think, is there in the next round, because 2 players can't get 2 wins now, I don't think. Coco will play Vondrousova in the last match. Yeah. If Vondrousova, yeah, I think the loser. There's too many things going around in my head now, but I think the loser of this match is out. I think
it would make sense. I just don't see how, if Vondrousova loses this but beats Coco. So I guess then they would both have 2 losses. Is that what you mean?
That's right. So if Vondrousova, okay, what about this? Ons wins this match, Vondrousova beats Coco, and Iga beats Ons. I think you'll then have a situation where Iga will have 3 wins and the other 3 players will have 1 each, I think. And that might be a scenario where one player goes through with 1 win. But put it like this: if you lose this match today, you're in big trouble. Big trouble, at the very least. And Ons obviously is in quite a good position, albeit that Vondrousova has got a game point to hold for 2-1.
Yeah, I think, coming into this match, I think Ons has the most to lose in general, in the sense that this is a Wimbledon matchup. Rematch.
Yeah.
And she kind of has, she might want to turn that around a little bit to say she can do it. Also, she just hasn't been playing well. If she loses this, high chance she's out of the finals. I just feel like she has the most to lose here. She hasn't been playing well. Marketa, on the other hand, You know, this is her first WTA Finals. It's hi Deshaun. It is really, really windy. That is for sure.
Yeah.
But I just think Ons has the most to lose, and it's almost why I think she came out of the gates firing, and she broke right away. You know, this is a pretty long game, though. This has just kept going.
Yeah, another break of serve for Ons would really help her in terms of this set. I don't know. I just don't know if there's also a bit of a feeling amongst the players that can't make number one. In other words, the other six, probably Pegula aside, you know, with Vondrousova, with Jabeur, with Sakkari definitely, with Rybakina. They want to win these tournaments. They want to, of course, they do. Every tournament they play and every match they play, they want to win. But does it mean quite as much to Rybakina as it probably does to Iga and Arena? I'm not sure.
Mm.
Especially if there is a bit of discomfort amongst the players, and you know, maybe they're not happy with certain conditions that are going on there. I just wonder what kind of headspace they are all in. I think Iga and Arena are so, you know, determined to finish their year on a high and obviously finish at the number one.
Exactly. So I think for those two, the number one.
But the other six, don't know. Pegula, yeah, because Pegula's just a machine.
Yeah. You know, I think Pegula definitely, it would be a big win for her if she did that. For, you know, I actually think of all of them, Vondrousova has the least kind of, you know, thing. She has the least to prove. This is her first one. It's almost like, oh, happy to be here kind of vibes. Oh, wait, sorry. But I do think Pegula would love to win this. It'd be a big win for her. I think Ons has a lot to prove to kind of end the season on a high note. I don't think Coco, based on her, you know, U.S. Open swing results, will want to at least get to the semis, you know.
Yeah.
And push through, and not just sort of, I don't know. I think they all have, despite all the stuff going on behind the scenes, I do think they all have a storyline to sort of live up to. Yeah, slicey no worky. Slicey no worky, Vondrousova. This is the longest. Oh, it's finally over. Well, I guess, can we switch to, I guess because we're all watching on Tennis Channel. That's very.
Oh, what do you want me? Do you want me to change the screen?
I mean, it's fine. It's either way. I guess I think.
You mean the score? I can change the score easily. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm still on 2-love 40-all.
Yeah. No, I can do that quite quickly, and I know exactly. I just don't look at it. That's the thing. Give me a second.
Coco should make the semis because I don't see Marketa getting any wins in this round robin. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Again, I think I said earlier in this matchup that, you know, I think the Ons has the most to prove here, and I think is gonna bring it. At least right now, she is.
Yeah, but of course she also needs to win her last match against Coco is playing Vondrousova in the last match. But yeah. I mean, if Ons was to win today, then it might not be so important.
Yeah, I'm going to. 1 second. Yeah, it's good. So yay!
We'll see scoreline. So we'll see if it's more in sync with your viewing. But as I say, I'm not always watching the scoreline, but I know that the scoreline I had on previously was super sort of fast and was quite close to the actual real
Oh no,
on
that's
time.
definitely what's really happening.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
way behind on Tennis Channel. Yeah, I mean, so far so good. I think Ons is looking okay. Other than that first little bit of scare in the beginning where she kind of doubled over, it doesn't seem like the knee is doing anything weird.
Oh, there's a funny stat here. Iga Swiatek is the first person or first player to win 22 sets with a 6-love scoreline in a single season since Iga Swiatek did it last year.
Again, she, she's
There's a
growing on.
reason there's an Iga's Bakery Twitter account.
Yeah, she's definitely growing on me because I just didn't understand her style of play or get it. But it's growing on me for sure.
Miles, I want you to come out in, not because I don't think anyone on the stream has been critical, but I'm given a tweet I saw from you about 15 minutes ago. I'm sure you want to come out and maybe defend Coco a little bit in terms of what we saw in the previous match.
I had a joke about Miles. I want you to come out, but I'll leave it off air. This I best defend Coco, I guess, to the score line and to the match.
Is it because sorry, Miles? Is it because you heard something or saw something on Twitter, or you're just sort of warding? Or go on then.
No, I see it all the time. I see it's never a happy medium when it comes to Coco. I think because she's somebody that in women's tennis right now people look to kind of gauge where the talent is moving. It's either she sucks or she's really, really good. I don't see a happy medium. And then the match she played today against Iga Swiatek was not good. Like that, I don't want to make it seem like making excuses for her because it wasn't a good match, and she definitely failed badly at taking advantage of possibly evening up the match at one set all. But I don't think it's the end all be all. I don't think Coco is bad at WTA finals. Like I've seen, like somebody said, the WTA finals is a curse for her. And I'm like, she beat Ons Jabeur, who's also a top 10 player 2 days ago, love and won. Like
and
it's
she
not.
She could easily be in the semifinals in a couple of days from now.
She could, yeah. I hate that it's always like, and sometimes it's even more annoying because it comes from people that say that they're fans of hers. Like when she puts in a performance that's less than 10, it's like she's moving backwards. And it's like, it's tennis. Like even in the best seasons that players have had, they take losses kind of inexplicably. We just saw Carlos Alcaraz lose to Roman Saful, and I don't necessarily see people saying that Carlos Alcaraz is losing his steam. Like he's lost a couple of matches in a somewhat inconsequential part of the schedule. Like if Coco goes out and loses 6-love 6-2 to somebody in the first round of Australia, then we can start being okay, maybe there's cause for concern. But her losing to Iga Swiatek, who she's lost to 8 times already in a span of a couple of seasons, I'm not ready to kind of throw her out and say that she's moving backwards. However, there were parts in that match that definitely were cringe, but it doesn't mean that she's all hype or she's never going to be world number one. I mean, she won a Grand Slam. We're in November. She won that Grand Slam in September. Like, let's calm down.
Yeah. She won 3 tournaments, I think, back to back, didn't she? With the US Open being the third. The criticism, is it coming from Coco fans or is it coming from Coco doubters?
Both. I mean, there are people for whatever reason that I've seen over my time on Tuned Into Tennis that aren't fans of her court placement, especially before she won the US Open. They thought she was just, riding the hype of an American teenager. And I'm like, well, that's sports. Like, why if I was a Grand Slam tournament director and I have the end all say all on who gets a court, why wouldn't I put a 17, 18-year-old superstar who looks on the precipice of making history for herself? Why wouldn't I give her a court 1 or center court billing? It's not like she's ranked 82 in the world and I'm doing it. She's a top 10 player, So it's always something. There's layers as to why that is. I won't get into all of them, but it just seems like even when she's winning, there's always like, that forehand or, oh, that serve. It's like, just let her. At the end of the day, she's a 19-year-old stellar athlete. Like, just let her be that, So that's
Interesting
where I fall
thing
on
here
it.
from Dishon as well is Ons is kind of well known for her abilities to deal with curveballs. And curveballs in Cancun can be the weather, but it could also be the court itself. Interesting. It'll be interesting to see if that bears out. I mean, she's actually just lost her serve now, so it's back on serve against Vondrousova. I don't know the exact mathematics of all of this, Miles, but the loser of this particular match will be in big trouble. I do think.
Oh yeah,
Off
absolutely.
the top of my head, there is still a scenario. Unlike with Sakkari, who is done, having lost her 2 matches, she's out because of the other matches that took place elsewhere. I think there is still a chance for the loser of this match to progress, and I think it's like this. I think if Iga's to play Ons in the last match, right? Yeah. So if Ons wins this match, okay, but then Vondrousova beats Coco and Ons loses to Iga, you'll have Iga with 3 match wins and Vondrousova, Ons, and Coco with 1 match win. So then you'll have 3 players with 1 match win, and then one of those 3 will go through and 2 will go out. And I guess then it comes down to the number of sets that they win. So if Ons was to win this in straight sets and get a set off Iga, then it may well be her that progresses, if that makes sense. It's complicated, but
that's the only thing I don't like about the round robin format.
Yeah, it's very unclear.
You need a calculator and a math degree to kind of make it make sense sometimes. Those aren't my strong
and an
suits.
abacus, yeah.
Yeah, but I do love the fact though, like from a if I had tickets, I would love the fact that I get to see 3 guaranteed matches of my favorite player or a player I really support. I love that part about the round robin format, but like who makes it, who doesn't. I think Coco Vandeweghe.
But I don't mind it, Miles, in that it's once a year. And
Yeah, I agree. I don't. If it were like a all year thing, I'd absolutely hate it. But I do. It makes sense in the format of the elites of the elite performers of the season, all getting opportunities to showcase why they are elite. I think Coco Vandeweghe made it pretty. She made it pretty. Coco Vandeweghe at the Tennis Channel just made it pretty plain and clear. Like winning, you're in; losing, you're out. You kind of still have to have that mentality. When you're playing out there,
Coco Vandeweghe, and I hope I'm saying her name right. She does like to make things loud and clear. She's fairly direct.
Fairly,
yeah. But I don't mind it as a one-off, and I also think, wow, if you're playing the top, you're playing your 7 nearest competitors or 4 of your and you win, 5 matches. So 5 of you, potentially 5, and you win all 5. I mean, we sometimes look at people who have amazing slam runs and go, wow, that person, beat, 3 mega stars on the way to winning that slam. Or we also look at people going, oh, they just won that slam and they played, 1 player in the top 20, and we sort of look at it like that. And it
like
makes
Vondrousova getting to that Roland Garros final, beating Joanna Conte in a semi.
Yeah, we mentioned it the other day. And she was also on a soft half of the draw at Wimbledon. The other half of the draw, because Iga was in the top half as the number 1 seed, everyone who was kind of Wimbledon pedigree, grass court pedigree, was in the bottom half, i.e. we had Rybakina and we had Sabalenka.
They just replayed this moment with Marketa. She kind of rolled over her ankle a little bit.
Oh,
she's continuing to play, but she definitely had to take a moment to kind of regroup.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was her coming down off of a backhand and rolling off of the right ankle, I believe. She's still playing though.
Oh, that was oh.
It's 3-2 game point to Jabeur. 3 game points, actually. Yeah, she looks a little uncomfortable now. She's not limping per se, but she's grimacing, that's for sure.
Well, Madison Keys and Barbora Krejcikova. You better get your rackets out.
Is there any proof of Madison Keys actually in the,
No, there's no proof
country of
Madison's
Mexico? Is she in Mexico?
We want proof. Are you actually there?
I haven't seen any. Like Krejcikova's obviously there, but Madison Keys, I'm not sure.
She's probably somewhere in California or somewhere not far away. But she's
But I
turned her
don't
phone
think
off.
you can do that.
She's turned her
Yeah,
phone off.
I think you have to be on the grounds. I think you
Yeah, but not even on the grounds. The tournament started, so.
I love the way you say that, Miles. She's got to be on the grounds. It's almost like a jury service, and you're not allowed to leave the hotel.
Yes.
You can't
talk
to the media about this.
The last person that I remember to actually utilize their alternate position was Sophia Kenin in 2019. I don't remember who couldn't play their match. Maybe it was Andreescu. I know Andreescu retired. I don't know if it was her first or second round robin match, but I do remember Sophia Kenin coming in as an alternate just to kind of play the spot, So she might have won a match, actually.
But can that actually happen?
Yeah,
I'm confused. Can that happen?
Yeah, it's happened at the ATP Finals once or twice in the last few years.
Yeah, because Matteo Berrettini,
her first match.
Yeah. If you can't take the court, that's where the alternate comes in. Like, you retiring mid-match is different from you. Like, they don't want to potentially have a match not played. That's why the alternate comes into play. Yeah, even if you've already played a round robin match, the alternate kind of just literally comes in to take your position if you physically cannot take the court.
And if they win, then they move on?
No, I'm not sure about that.
Right, I'm so confused.
Good one, Anastasia, because if the alternate comes in for the second match and they end up winning,
and just turns it on.
If they come in for the third, I think they're done pretty much. But if they come in for the second and then they end up winning their two matches, it hasn't happened. And tennis being tennis, we'll worry about it if it happens.
That's what it seems. I mean, tennis does that a lot.
Yeah, we'll confront it when it actually happens.
Yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah.
Because
Vondrousova in the same game though. In the same game, oh well, she ruined the opportunity. In the same game that Ons Jabeur had 3 game points and Vondrousova rolled her ankle, she managed to create a break point for herself, but she just shanked a forehand return. So back to deuce.
Miles, what does noodle-like strokes mean? I'm not quite sure.
Deshaun, did you come here to give us new vocabulary? Deshaun is a frequent flyer in the Tuned Into Tennis Spaces. I've never heard him use that analogy for Vondrousova. I think it's maybe I'm putting words in your mouth here, Deshaun, but do you mean that it's just very loopy and like not full of pace? Because I would agree with that. She can definitely moonball her way through some rallies. And she has a huge backswing on her forehand too. So maybe that's what you mean by noodle. Maybe she puts a lot of elbow in it, like elbow noodles. Yeah.
Anyone who predicted Iga to win this tournament is probably feeling quite good right now.
Yeah, she looked great in that first set. Coco didn't, but she looked great.
Yeah.
Vondrousova had another break point that she just looped the forehand long. Yeah.
Anastasia.
This is a very awkward matchup. This is a very awkward matchup.
What do you mean by an awkward one in this Jabeur Vondrousova?
They both have similar strengths in the fact that they can just completely change the pace and direction of the ball at will. Yeah. So them going up against each other with that kind of same mindset is awkward. Like I'm new. I've only been watching it like since 2-2, but there hasn't been too many like very. There haven't been too many rallies that look the same.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's their goal usually when they play other players is to mix it up. So them doing against each other can kind of be a little awkward.
I saw Yannick take the court at 12:15 local time, and he looked like he was ready for bed.
Why is that happening in an indoor tournament? Like why?
Yeah, because they put 6 matches on one court, and they start at 11 a.m.
Why?
Yeah, tennis.
Oh. And they have a pretty substantial court number 1, right? Like a B court,
yeah,
right?
It's a decent one, yeah. And
how many scheduled courts? How many scheduled matches they put on that one?
I think they're doing it again tomorrow, and I think there's 2 on court 1 and 6 on center court.
Where does that make sense?
Well, it's about trying to get tickets and stuff, you know.
Yeah. I don't know. Oh, I mean, take this person with a grain of salt. I know I do, but I think I saw Ben Rothenberg tweet that if you're in Paris and you prefer and Roland Garros isn't your thing, definitely check out the Paris Masters indoor. And he specifically said because the court number one or like the lesser non-main court is actually pretty sweet. Like you get a pretty good
Okay.
watch out of
I
it.
saw that, and I saw the tweet. Yeah, I think he went a step further. He's basically like Paris Bercy's the one, not Roland Garros. I think was certainly a tweet I saw was like, if you're thinking about going to Paris to watch a tournament, come to Bercy, not to Roland Garros.
Mm.
And I think he was talking about the vibe on court one. My main problem with Paris Bercy is the change between afternoon session and night session can be quite problematic. Trying to get 20,000 people out of an indoor arena and get 20,000 people into an indoor arena, whilst 5,000 people are stood outside of on the street, basically queuing up, just waiting to get in. And then some people are more patient than others, and it's just a mess.
Sounds like a
And
cluster. Yeah.
it is a cluster, and it's a mess because it's not like Roland Garros where you've got a huge area where
Mm-hmm.
and you're getting just 15,000 people out of one arena and then 15,000 people in, but there's so much space. It's summertime. It's 7-8 o'clock. It's completely different indoors when you're trying to get people out and then people in, and people not necessarily wanting to come out because maybe they want to try and hide somewhere or whatever. It's just a lot more difficult practically to do. But I think where Ben Rothenberg was probably coming from was the fact that there was a lot of exciting matches earlier on this week with French players in particular. And
you don't get it's a mix of the top like 60 or 70 and not a mix of like the top 128 plus wild cards. Like you get probably tighter matches earlier on. So I guess from that angle I get what he's saying, but if I was in Paris, I probably would still prefer to go to Roland Garros, even though I'm not a huge clay person.
Summertime is more fun than winter.
Yeah.
Trust me. In Northern Europe.
That tournament looks dreary.
Yeah. There's a reason it's indoors, and it comes just after we change the clocks as well. So Europe is even darker.
Ons just speaking of what I was talking about earlier with them being like very nifty and no point is the same. Ons just won a very, very crafty point with a slice backhand that just narrowly got past Vondrousova to save a game point. So back to deuce. I'm pulling for Ons Jabeur here. I kind of still wanted to see her in the semis, kind of, sort of.
Yeah. My thing with Ons is it's kind of Wimbledon or bust now.
It's slam or nothing. Unfortunately, because I mean, if you get to a Grand Slam final 3 times and don't win a set she won a set in the first one, but if you don't look like you're ever going to be the winner in any of them, it's kind of like you need to win this to stamp your authority as one of the elite players.
Yeah,
and I forget, I might be wrong, but Ons does have less than 5 or 6 WTA titles, correct? I know we have.
That does sound about right. I can't think of a bunch that she's won.
I know from this season we've had Charleston and Ningbo. I think she won the WTA 250 and Ningbo on hard courts. And also Charleston earlier this year. Go back to 2022, it was Madrid, so that's 3. She's won Birmingham on grass in 2021, so that's 4.
5. According to a quick Google stroke Wikipedia search, 5 titles on the WTA.
5. Okay.
5 singles titles. Yeah.
I just mentioned 4. Where's the 5th one? Interesting. Did she win like a pre-Australia tournament that I don't know about?
You mean like New Zealand or
something like that? Yeah. I don't think she has, but I just counted 4. I can't think of where the 5th one. Wikipedia is going to tell me. We know it's not a major, unfortunately.
But it just feels like when Maria Sakkari won that tournament recently in Guadalajara, it's like, oh, I'm really pleased for her, And I see other players on the ATP tour like David Fokina and Botic van der Zandschulp,
who are
never
just
won
missing that trophy. Yeah.
Yeah, Botic in particular, because I think David Fokina will probably get there in the end. But Botic, I think, was up a double break maybe on Holger Rune on the European clay early this year, and had a pretty horrible collapse. And these are the players that you just think. Janard Leonard Struff is another one. And I know, he lost to Tiafoe earlier.
If Struff was playing against anybody else besides Alcaraz in that Madrid final, I probably would have been rooting for him because he played amazing to get to that final.
I was rooting for Struff in that final.
Well, you're German, so yeah.
In Madrid, amongst in the press box as well, where you've got to sort of be neutral. But I was pulling for Struff in the final, just because I love Alcaraz, but he's going to win 1 million Madrid titles, and
it feels that way, yeah. Oh, the other tournament that Ons Jabeur has won was Berlin. Speaking of Germans, it was Berlin, but she had a retirement in the final. Belinda Bencic gave her a retirement. That was last year's Berlin tournament before Wimbledon on grass. That's her other WTA title.
Carhand, I will just go on, Mars.
Well, that would explain why she was such a big presence for Wimbledon last year. I forgot that she had won a lead-up tournament to it.
I've gone for I'm responding to a comment from Carhand in the chat here. I've actually gone for Sinner to not make the semi-finals as many would project him to do. Just
he needs a break before Turin.
Yeah, he needs a break. Yeah, and bringing it back to the WTA. And this could be ATP as well, is you do get this period of the season, and maybe the WTA Finals is suffering as a result. Maybe some players are not in the perfect condition. I think Iga's got that absolute sweet spot of she took that lengthy break after New York. She played a couple of tournaments and she then had a couple of weeks off. And so her freshness right now is just about right. She's not got any lingering injuries, whereas other players, kept going and playing all the Asian tournaments and then I'm thinking of Ons in particular, thinking, I should really play that tournament in Tunisia that was created for me. But then I've got this commitment to play this other tournament in Asia. She ends up getting injured during the tournament in Asia and she pulls out of that and she doesn't make Monastir. And then she turns up at these WTA finals and you're just not quite sure. We mentioned the Coco shoulder thing as well a few weeks back. You've probably had Mukova pulling out. Sakkari's probably not quite got the level this year in 2023. And before you know it, you're looking at 2 or 3 matches that are not that competitive.
I just think that I don't think the entire schedule should be worked around the WTA finals, but I definitely don't think, how do I put this? They should look at that chunk of time after the US Open and try to utilize it the best they can. I don't think any tennis should not be happening in November. I don't think there should be any 250 or above tennis happening in November. And I feel like we get even better matches on the ATP final side and the WTA final side if players knew that there wasn't that much of a gap between those events happening and the end of the US Open. Because here we are, the US Open has been 6 or 7 weeks ago, and there's still a lot to play for, which I guess in theory is fun, but if you're an actual player that's been playing since December of last year, because that's when players get down to Australia, it's a tough ask. It's a very tough ask.
Yeah.
And the only time where there really isn't a elite tournament happening, like 500 or above, is that awkward time frame right after Wimbledon. And even still, there's top 100 players that take advantage of that, So it's just hard to follow. It's hard to find breaks to really get your bearing straight as a tennis player.
Yeah.
But it looks great on your resume. You can always say, if you want to go work a regular job after being on the professional tennis tour, you can say, I'm very adaptable. And people will believe you. People will absolutely believe you.
Yeah, the tennis calendar, that's another thing that we'd all love a good couple of hours with a pen and paper and fixing. I'm a general. No, I'm not a general. I'm a big believer in less is more.
It's the fact that we get 4 Super Bowls a year. What other sport has that? Where you get 4 big red circles around really, really important tournaments. And outside of the 1000s, those are really, really great tournaments, especially the combined ones. But the other ones kind of get lost in the circle, you
Yeah.
know? Like I love some 500s, like the Charleston 500 is a great tournament. I can't wait to go to that one year. The Acapulco 500, like there's some 500s that really stand out as like this tournament needs to be on the calendar for X, Y, and Z reasons. But there's also some clutter. There's definitely some clutter. There's some clutter.
Yeah, and maybe the next week after this tournament, you've got people like the Polish guy, Hubi Hurkacz, is really, really desperate to get to tune in that he's going to be on one leg playing in Metz next week just to get a couple more
He
points.
did he lose today?
No,
He
he
won?
won today in straight sets over Bautista Agut.
I'm itching for a Hatchinoff or Jack Sock kind of winner in Paris Bercy this year. Somebody out of the norm. I'd hate for it to be another Djokovic win.
I am, but I fear that with the top guys falling in the last 24 hours or so, that things might be fairly rudimentary.
Djokovic is not going to break a sweat to that title. I doubt it. Especially that Alcaraz is out. Holger Rune looks good. He's the defending champion, but I'd be kind of surprised if he doubles up and wins it again. So, and Medvedev out now too. So
I love chaos. I was talking about this with
Yes.
I think with Jack, but chaos means they've got to all go. You can't just have Novak standing because that's not chaos. If Novak is just staying, it's a cakewalk.
Agreed.
We need,
I want Novak
Shanghai.
out.
We need everyone gone.
Yes,
we need
yes.
all the big ones. Or, as I think it was Anastasia was saying earlier, have all the big guys there like we had in Vienna recently. That's great too.
So that the final four are 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that. That's fine as well.
5-3, 3 set points and break points for Ons Jabeur here to take this opening set, by the way. She misses a backhand wide, so 2 more set points incoming. A weird set from what I've watched. Very weird, including the Vondrousova injury scare, them just being very tricky players in general. Not a very smooth watch so far.
I think there may be more controversy this year than last year, and there was plenty around the Fort Worth tournament.
I don't understand why they just didn't go back to Fort Worth. I've already made a great marketing scheme they could have used all year. A hold down hooray towards the end of the season. Like it's the week of Halloween. You could have all of your players marketing the tournament by dressing up in their best cowboy Halloween costumes, and the top eight played again indoors, no wind, rain, sun to worry about, and they build some familiarity around the tournament. It's the only bad part about that tournament was that it was announced late again, so there was no real lead up to it. It just was, oh, we're in Fort Worth again. But had they stuck it there again and told us in March, hey, we're right back in Fort Worth again with our cowboy hats to end the season off with the top 8, we'd be more excited now instead of in Cancun. I think they tried to sell us this whole, well, Cancun's sunny and it's where people go to relax, and it's like, no one's going to relax if they're worried that their court is going to collapse in 5 minutes, So
I think you're right. I mean, it might have taken another year or two, but yeah, with a solid belief in Fort Worth, it could have worked out.
Yep. Ons didn't take any of those set points, which is fairly standard, very, very standard Ons territory there. So she's going to try to serve it out. This is a really awkward match.
Yeah. But again, coming back to this Ons thing, and if she wins this match, I don't think it makes a single difference to how she'll feel about the Wimbledon final. It's not like she beats, that's okay, then I can move on from that Wimbledon final. That's
you don't think so?
No, if she wins, she could win this 6-4, 6-love, and the spookiness, the Halloween theme of that Wimbledon horror show will haunt her forever.
I think I'm trying to think of a moment where a player got revenge Oh,
Well,
Venus
not
Williams got revenge in the same season over Muguruza, beating her in the Wimbledon final. She didn't go on to win that WTA Finals tournament, but she got revenge in either the semifinal or round robin stage over a tough loss. So I don't think it necessarily
but Venus
covers
had
the
some
wound.
slams already, you know.
Yeah, this is true. This is also true. I don't think it would cover the wound completely that Ons Jabeur felt from not taking advantage of having Vondrousova in a Wimbledon final. But I mean, I feel like it'll lessen the sting, especially if this match gets tight and Ons Jabeur still pulls it out. I think that'll go far. So
Yeah.
she's gonna have a chance to serve out this first set here, though. Let's see what she does.
Well, yeah. Let's see how this pans out as well.
All right. Good first serve and a swing and a miss from Vondrousova in the opening point. 15-love.
It's not quite a revenge thing, but it was a story that had a happy ending after a couple of painful episodes, which was the Jana Novotná blow up against Steffi Graf in '93, I think it was, when she was a double breakup, I think, in the deciding set. I think it was a double break and 40-30, and she hits probably the worst double fault you've ever seen in your life. And it was one of those, I think, that clipped the top of her racket and ended up going about 3 feet, no more, 4 feet behind the service line. And it's like, oh, okay, this could get awkward if she loses her serve here, which she did, and then she lost her serve again, and then that was it. I think it was 4-1. Maybe it was 4-1. Maybe it wasn't a double break. It was 4-1, 40-30. Anyway, it was just probably the most legendary choke in tennis in my lifetime. But she was in a Wimbledon final 4 years later. She lost that one as well to
Martina Hingis,
the Swiss player. Sorry, who?
Martina Hingis.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thank you. And then she finally got over the line a year later. Toziak, maybe?
It was Natalie Toziak. Yes, it was Natalie Toziak. Yeah.
So it wasn't anywhere near the sort of, playing this. It wasn't like she came back and beat Graf, but it didn't matter. It didn't matter.
She got the hands on the trophy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if Ons faces Sasha Vickery in a Wimbledon final, I don't think she'll care that it's Sasha Vickery in the Wimbledon final. She'll just be happy that she's a Wimbledon champion.
Where did Sasha Vickery come from?
I mean, she's a player that, like, I would imagine if you're trying to build your perfect, I can win this Grand Slam, she might come to mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Just like you would if you were Novak Djokovic going, give me Tommy Paul in the semi-final. And
yeah, exactly.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Rafa Nadal, Kevin Anderson, US Open 2017 as well. So Roger Federer as well had a couple of nice ones at Wimbledon in the 2000s.
30-all here, and Jabeur trying to serve out this first set. It's gotten a little tricky. She just missed a very open court, put it away, and the point is hers, backhand volley. So hopefully that doesn't stick in her mind. And she threw her racket right afterwards because she knew it was frustrating. Let's see what happens. Very, very slow second serve from Ons Jabeur. Vondrousova just jumps all over it, and Ons Jabeur can't handle it. Break point, Vondrousova. Makes it interesting. 55 minutes into this first set. She tried to be a little bit quicker with this first serve, but just misses it out wide. Second serve, break point, Vondrousova. Another slow delivery from Ons. Oh, Vondrousova hits the return. It tips the top of the tape and goes out wide. Very lucky if you're an Ons Jabeur fan. We're at deuce.
Go out of jail there.
Missed serve down the tee from Ons Jabeur at deuce. Very slow second delivery. Vondrousova gets that return in play. She's very nifty off that forehand. She can find angles out of the court. Pretty standard rally. Vondrousova trying to dictate with the forehand and hits the top of the tape. Set point again for Ons Jabeur. Carhan, you're asking about the Paris Open last year. It has a history of being a little bit of a circus towards the end of the season. If you look at the people that have won it, it's been a little bit like, how'd they win that? Either they have no other ATP Masters title to their credit, or that was the one that like popped up for them after being to finals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that's David Ferrer's one Masters title. Jack
Okay.
Sock has a Masters title there. Karen Khachanov.
Yeah.
And those are three players that you don't automatically think of as, ATP Masters 1000 champions. David Ferrer, David Ferrer,
yeah.
He played in a very, very tough era. Ons Jabeur was able to stick it out and closes out the set with the backhand down the line. A very awkward set from what I watched. 57 minutes of it, but
there's been a few awkward sets though, I think, for one reason or another in Cancun.
Quite a few. I mean, I don't know. If you're listening to this and you're like, Miles, you've been talking about the WTA being in travesty like all week. I'm sorry, but that's just the theme of the event. Like they can't run from it at this point. Like, it's unfortunately 3 years in a row where it's been less than ideal circumstances for a premier women's only spotlight on women's tennis event. And now we're getting into territory where the actual athletes are speaking out and saying they're uncomfortable with the playing conditions. They feel disrespected by the lack of organization around the event. Like, that's a huge problem. And it seems as though the Band-Aid that's going to be proposed on the wound is a Band-Aid that people are going to be uncomfortable with because that Band-Aid rhymes with Saudi Arabia or is Saudi Arabia.
Well, that's another thing that we're sort of tight. I see the tennis family or whatever, we're tying ourselves up in knots, and then we end up just end up in Saudi Arabia,
I think I was talking about this in the Tuned Into Tennis Twitter space, and I got a little passionate. I think the lesser of two evils. First of all, I don't think there's ever going to be this utopian space anywhere on the globe where the WTA can showcase a women's only event and not feel any kind of backlash as to what is happening in that area that isn't necessarily pro women's rights. When they played in Texas last year, Texas was going through a whole bunch of issues with abortion rights and stuff like that. And there were people that were like, why would you put it in Texas? So my point is there's not one utopian place that they can put this place in and every single person on the planet be happy. However, Saudi Arabia is far from that utopian place. But at the same time, I personally think that the worst evil would be to continue to see the WTA struggle. And if Saudi Arabia provides some sort of financial stability for them, even if that means they only put one foot in Saudi Arabia for a couple of years, and that gets them out of this very obvious disorganization, debt, financial blundery they put themselves in. Long term, that helps everybody out because you aren't looking at a WTA where the athletes themselves are saying, hey, we don't want to play in situations like this. At least they'll know they'll get the top of the top amenities and get a very stable lead up to the WTA finals, and that money that they get from one of the biggest money events on the schedule, which is the WTA finals, trickles down to other events. So it's not perfect by any means, but that sure beats a WTA that's still hanging on by a thread. I think that would be the worst thing, is to see the WTA go from very elite, if not the biggest organization for female athletes, not even just tennis athletes, but just athletes of women athletes in general, going from a high prestige organization to an organization that's kind of like a laughing stock. Like, I don't want to see that happen. And if that means taking money from Saudi Arabia and hosting a 1000 or a WTA finals there, then unfortunately they've backed themselves into the corner where they have to choose the lesser of two evils. They're both either your organization continues to crumble, or you take an out that's not necessarily a fan favorite. I would personally take the out that's not a fan favorite instead of my actual organization crumbling. So
I wonder though if Saudi Arabia will want a slightly more iron grip than a 2-year.
oh yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure they would. But is that, do you still, I mean, look at what happened with their stance on China. Like they tried to put a firm, they tried to put a firm, we cannot have this happen
but it's
amongst
like
our ranks.
Wimbledon with
But
the Russians and the you
yeah,
can't
yeah,
you're either in it or you're not. And if
yeah,
you're going to take that stance, you've got to think about, what about if this war continues for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years? I mean, listen, Riley and Opelka and I'm sure we disagree on a lot of things, but one thing we did agree on was something he said to me in a press conference about 18 months ago, when he said exactly that. When he said, no points here this year, and what are they going to do next year if the war is still going on? Because you can't have a stance and then just go, well, it was a stance for 2022, but
yeah, we just did it. We just did it for 1 year. Yeah.
Huh?
They can't. It doesn't look great on your organization if you take a stance and then the very next time it comes around, you're like, that was a one-time thing. But was it really a stance? Then was it something that you really, really vehemently agreed or disagreed on?
Not.
It makes you look kind of flimsy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would prefer as well to head back to the point about Saudi Arabia. I would prefer to head to just let's get our stuff in order regarding the WTA. Let's get a proper social media team. Let's get a better relationship between players, officials, and media. let's get some boffins in that know exactly what to do on Instagram, and do some cool videos, and let's do some promo stuff, and let's get a solid 5-year deal with someone, and we'll get the best marketing people around to get us the best deals and the best sponsorship, and tell everyone what a great product we have and how fun it can be. And we'll tell you what we'll do is we won't have players playing at 3 o'clock in the morning like on the ATP tour. We'll do something else. We'll do something better, and so on and so forth. We'll think about marketing some of these players that are just so marketable, as we see, whether it be Naomi Osaka or Emma Raducanu or Ons Jabeur or Iga Swiatek. These people are just transcending the sport in so many ways and could do so much more. That's what I would be doing. And I would try and avoid that candy of Saudi Arabia at all costs if I could.
But where would they get the stability that they need from, though? Like, who's going to usher in? I mean, Pagula is a funny answer that I see on Twitter all the time. Like, hey,
I
your dad.
I saw that. The problem is she can't do it until she retires.
Exactly. I mean, even her parents couldn't do it because it would be a conflict of interest, I guess. But I'm not sure from what I feel, I'm not sure where the options are coming from for the WTA. They already aren't looking at a very currently marketable product. And I think somebody said, does the WTA need another Serena? In short, yes. They need there are several different women that are marketable, but it's not really being taken to the next level because the WTA itself is a shifting and disorganized organization at the moment. So marketing doesn't even seem like it's even on the priority list. But if we look at the top 10 at the end of 2013 compared to the top 10 of now, or the top 10 that's going to end the season, the top 10 in the 2013 consisted of, top of my head, Wozniacki, Azarenka, Kvitova. Did I say Azarenka already?
Maybe, yeah.
Serena, Sharapova for sure. Those names right there are all, if they're not already in the Hall of Fame, they're definitely future Hall of Famers. And looking at the top 10 now, unfortunately, the only ones that I can see that have made a mark in women's tennis to go to the Hall of Fame right now are Iga Swiatek. Sabalenka is 1 slam away. Coco is 1 slam away. Rybakina is 1 slam away. Vondrousova, I guess, if she kind of steadies her tennis, is 1 slam away. But everybody needs to do some work except Swiatek to really become like these memorable players. Whereas in 2013, whether they had a Grand Slam or not, Wozniacki, Azarenka, Sharapova, Serena, Kvitova were all very much so the faces of women's tennis. Whether they, in Wozniacki's case, had a slam or not, she was world number 1 for a long time and was winning everywhere else. So there needs to be. Somebody said this in the Tune at the Tennis space other day. Like, it is hard for the WTA players themselves, like Iga Swiatek did in her last match. Like, hey guys, come and watch us, when what they're offering pales in comparison to what's been offered in the past. You know, like, it's like, hey, market us, but like, what are we actually? What is the revenue that you're getting, you know? And it's also it's a layered one way after that, because we also live in a world where it does necessarily appreciate women's sports. So if the women are already not making stories for themselves to kind of get into the forefront, they're going to have different they're going to face different obstacles when it comes to media and broadcasting and stuff like that, that just naturally pivot towards men's sports and men's tennis. So it's a conundrum of problems, I think. But as in the world we live in, money is probably going to help solve a lot of that. And if Saudi Arabia is the lone option, or like, is it like, everyone just keeps saying Saudi Arabia, is it like the Saudi Arabia Tennis Association or something that's willing to give a large chunk of money? I don't know.
It'll be the state.
Okay.
I mean, they've made moves in other sports, as we've seen with golf and soccer as well.
Mm-hmm.
But by the way, Derek here, tongue in cheek, very funny comment that made me laugh that I wanted to put on the screen about Gerard Piqué, who, of course, we know has damaged his reputation, at least in the tennis world, albeit he's not a tennis player, regarding the Davis Cup and the fiddles he did there, and that didn't really work out. So that did make me chuckle. I have no idea what an HOF is, Derek, but maybe Miles.
Hall of Fame.
Oh, okay.
Hall of Fame.
Okay. So she
is.
won.
Krejcikova is Hall of Fame if you combine her doubles and singles career. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think she's won every single major in doubles and a gold medal plus a single slam. I'd put her there, similar to Sam Stosur, who has.
But there must be a city somewhere on the planet, Miles, you know, that just looking at the WTA finals, where, you know, I saw 60,000 people fill a stadium in Cape Town for an exhibition between Rafa and Roger a couple of years ago. Why not? Let's see what, you know, maybe there's something that can everyone's going to be happy with. The organizers in Cape Town will guarantee we'll get some tickets sold. The problem the WTA has is that, of course, it's on its bones. So it's not where, you know, if they had a bit of money saved up, they could go, you know what, tickets $5 just to put, can't afford to do that. You know what I mean?
Butts in the seats,
yeah, get bums on the seats and just let's get the money. Let's lose a bit or break even for 5 years and then we'll really kick in. You know, they kind of need the cash injection as soon as possible. But
that's the thing. Like, I know it's a bigger issue than just where to appropriately have the WTA finals. They need to announce it in the first quarter of the year so that there's an adequate build up to it, and it's not the fourth year in a row in 2024 where we're like, where are the girls going to play in September? That would be absolutely awful. But I think the bigger issue is that Saudi Arabia is positioning themselves to be, one, the host, and also a guarantor, I guess, of WTA tennis. And they need both. They need a stable home for the WTA finals, whether that's Saudi Arabia or differently, and they absolutely need a organization, a guarantor, a rich, wealthy family to take them out of the situation that they've been put in and give them money to put into marketing, to market what they currently have, you know? So it's a sticky situation. I hope it gets better, because I don't remember women's tennis ever being like this. And I've been a fan since the 2000s. And
I must say, you're probably, you've probably been more vested in WTA years than I have. But I was a little intrigued by what you were saying, though, about, because I think this WTA year has been phenomenal.
It has, the tennis has been great. Yeah,
I know we've had a disappointing WTA finals thus far, but that could still catch light in the next few days. But I think about 4 different Grand Slam winners, and none of them were Elena Rybakina, and we've had Rybakina moments for sure this year, and we've had some phenomenal finals as well, where on the men's side, pretty much Wimbledon aside, they were all very disappointing semi-finals as well. Whereas I think we were chatting in the WhatsApp group a couple of days ago where it was just, I said, I'm trying to choose 5 matches, but it's so difficult because there's been so many amazing matches this year on the women's tour. The Sabalenka Swiatek match in Madrid for me was right up there. The Rybakina Sabalenka final in Australia, the Sabalenka Mukova a semi-final, followed by the Mukova
Swiatek final. Yeah,
exactly. The US Open final obviously gets a shout for all sorts of reasons.
Swiatek, Svitolina at Wimbledon.
Yeah,
pretty good. Pegula,
Svitolina, I
Vondrousova
think,
at
was
Wimbledon.
involved in a couple of matches at Wimbledon that were sensational.
Svitolina,
Azarenka as well,
yeah.
Bencic, maybe. To name but a few. I didn't watch the match, but I heard Damien talk about Garcia Swiatek recently. Yeah, and I'm missing. That was just in like about a 5-minute, like boom, boom, boom chat on WhatsApp, and I'm probably missing lots more. That I think in terms of some of the drama that we've seen, and the variety and the uncertainty that we didn't have last year. A lot of the time, when hats off to Iga, but there was a lack of certain,
there wasn't another tier besides her. It was just Iga and everybody else.
Yeah.
And we actively have 3 reigning champions in the top 3 of women's tennis, and the 4th player in the world won Wimbledon last season and has won 2 WTA 1000s this year. That's strong. I just don't think that top 4 is, outside of maybe, in my mind, in my very WTA tennis is the main sport I follow mind, all 4 of them are marketable in multiple different ways. But if I look back again to the 2013 end of year, where it was Serena, Sharapova, Azarenka, and maybe Radwanska in the top 4 of 2013, those 4 to me, obviously Serena being the biggest one, had much more celebrity athlete personas instead of just tennis athlete or tennis celebrity personas, if that makes any sense. Like Sharapova and Serena obviously did multiple things outside of the court that made them appeal to people that weren't just tennis specific. And Azarenka a beautiful Belarusian girl herself, and Radwanska with all of her trickery, they helped to kind of aid people that weren't necessarily tennis fanatics care about tennis. And what they also did was, anytime that they went up against Radwanska or Serena, maybe Radwanska and Serena a little bit less so, they gave them very watchable matches. Like, you had to be there. Like, Azarenka was a very formidable foe for Serena and Sharapova, as was Radwanska. Radwanska doesn't have a win over Serena, but Radwanska has plenty of wins over Sharapova. So those top 4 right there made tennis watchable, whether you were in the trenches of tennis or not. Whereas with Sabalenka, Swiatek, Coco, and Rybakina, I'm not hearing, outside of Coco, I don't hear much about them outside of the lanes of tennis. Whereas with Sharapova, Serena, Radwanska, and Azarenka, I did. So I think there's a marketing issue, and it's just it's kind of where we stand. I think the gap between those years could help if the WTA actually had a team of people. It looks like Vondrousova was shaking her head at her coach. I thought she was going to retire there for a second. It's 2-2, by the way. 40.
Yeah, it's been a very lengthy service game here for Vondrousova.
Very. Marketa, she was doing her very capitulate in the second set sort of thing, but then she kind of got it together. I thought Ons Jabeur was going to run away with this and do like a 6-love thing. I wouldn't have been surprised, but
oh, by the way, I saw Surenko in the flesh in Monastir for the first time, and she was. I think you might have some news to tell us about this Jabeur Vondrousova match.
I do?
You're going to tell me in a second.
Oh.
You are. Trust me.
Vondrousova must be retiring.
No, it's not that dramatic.
Oh. What am I missing?
Jabeur's just broken. She just broke her.
Oh, yes.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Anyway, Surenko.
My feed's a little bit behind.
Yeah, no worries. Surenko, that's nice. It's my bad too. But Surenko in this. I'd forgotten about the sort of chat that we had earlier on this year regarding her. But in the match that she played, she was like struggling.
She lost to Italian
Paulini
in the semis.
yeah,
In the semis,
yeah. She was struggling. I mean, I think she had the trainer come on or the physio come on after like 5
that's
games
part of
of
the course.
Yeah, 5 games of the first set. And then she sort of seemed dead on her feet at the end of the first set, but somehow won the second. And then she was sort of struggling again in the third set, and it's like, okay. And then I saw her again 2 or 3 hours later, and she seemed fine. But it's just kind of.
I remember
funny
you saying that.
I'm just laying it out there. You can interpret. I mean, I am playing devil's advocate a bit, or I am sort of stirring things a little bit. But yeah, funny, very funny.
I mean, I don't think it's a stretch to say that she's one of the WTA players who leans into gamesmanship the most, or takes advantage of a well-rounded physio team as much as she can, whether or not she has an actual injury or not. She does that. She's not the only player, but she's definitely top 5. It's just in this season alone. I know a lot of it has to be mixed in with the fact that she's Ukrainian and there's a lot going on, and I can't imagine what it must feel like to like play a sport in the middle of your country kind of being torn away by war. But even before that, she had a history of retiring mid-match or calling physios in important parts of matches when she wasn't obviously injured. So yeah, I'm not surprised.
That was and it was just without realizing it at the time and without thinking about it, it was like, okay, that was a bit odd. And just seeing her tuck into her dinner at 6 p.m. and look like, you know, she hadn't eaten for a week, was like, okay, that's interesting. And but that was all having completely forgotten about the discussion that we'd had earlier on in this year. Or I say we, I think it was yourself and Nick were sort of jesting about it. I'd completely forgotten about it. It wasn't until the Monday or the Sunday night, I'm not sure, or Monday, I guess, I was talking to Nick about it, and he's like, yeah, don't forget. Oh, yeah, Suvenko, of course. Yeah. So something to keep an eye on anyway. Something else to keep an eye on is if Ons can hold on to this break
Let's
advantage.
see if she can pull away. She's 30 love up. Was that 30 love or 15? 15 love? Is the score just not updating?
30, yeah. I can see.
Oh yeah, it updated late. It's 30 love, 3-2, trying to consolidate that break.
And this will mean not definitely, but probably then it will become a shootout. But no, because it's Coco against Vondrousova in the last match, isn't it? So
if Vondrousova does lose this in straight sets, she's not making it to the semifinals though.
She loses in straight sets, and then
she's not making it to the semis.
Coco in straight sets, and Ons loses to Iga in straight sets. I think there is a path. Because what you would have then is all 3 players had lost to Iga in straight sets, and Ons had beaten Vondrousova in straight sets, and Vondrousova had beaten Coco in straight sets, and Coco had beaten Ons in straight sets. They would all be
in a cluster.
They would all have two sets that they'd won. And they'd all have 1 match win. And I think it would then.
But then it would go down to games won, right?
Which would not look good for Ons, because I think she won 1 against Coco, did she?
She did, yeah. She did. She's a little loose again on that forehand, and she chucks her racket. Break point for Vondrousova to get right back on serve. Ugh. Probably the most awkward match of the WTA Finals so far. As soon as I think that there's an actual momentum shift happening, it goes the other way. And I don't blame Ons for just generally being frustrated around her 2023. Like even Wimbledon losing again in the final was a huge part of it. But Wimbledon aside, as she double faults to give Vondrousova the break back, she's been stop and start all year. She's been stop and start. Like 2022 was the best season of her career. She won a 1,000 and a 500. She finished the year in the top 3 or 4. Got to 2 Grand Slam finals, and then immediately to start the year in Australia, she's injured. She takes a
Yeah.
break. She takes a break right after Australia. I think she has a small surgery that wasn't too invasive, but she misses
Yeah.
a big chunk of the season in Doha, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, where there's a big fan base for her. She doesn't play any of that. She comes back to Indian Wells in Miami, does poorly, starts to build some momentum in the clay season, winning the title in Charleston, but then goes to the European clay and gets injured again in a semifinal match with Swiatek. So it's just been stop and start and stop and start for her. So I can imagine she wants to just kind of get in the bed and look forward to 2024. That's what I would want to do.
Yeah, it has been a stop-start year for her, and yeah, that period, I think she was struggling going into the Australian Open,
Mhm.
and there
Mhm.
may have been some regret post-Australian Open that she ended up playing that tournament. But you know, slams are slams, aren't they? You do everything you can to play them. Yes, and did she play Indian Wells in Miami then?
She did. She lost to Vondrousova in Australia, and she lost to Vondrousova again, I want to say, in Indian Wells.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
I think I
Oh, I
commented
see. So
on one of those matches for Game to
okay.
Love.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. So that means, oh, look, some love here for you, Miles. That
Thanks,
means that, yeah,
Davion. I appreciate that.
I see what you mean now regarding beating Vondrousova. Yeah, it's a sort of Andy Murray, De Minaur sort of thing that she'll be desperate to get. But I still put the Wimbledon. I mean, the Wimbledon final, by the way. I remember speaking to somebody when it was like Ons is going to be end up playing either Marketa or Svitolina, and I said, which is there one that you would prefer for Ons? And it was like, yes, there is one that we would prefer for Ons, but we're not going to tell you who it is. And I think that was said in a public space. It was a guy I was interviewing on the channel, and I think he said that publicly. And it was like, yeah, fair enough, but I guess you're not going to tell me which. And I said, I can't, don't want to say what the data is suggesting. And I spoke to him after the final, and it was like, oh well, anyways. And he said, yeah, but you know what? It had nothing. The loss had nothing to do with data today. It wasn't a data day. It was an occasion day, if you like. And I think most casual fans could see that Ons was not in the right space to win that final. I mean, Marketa was just
She
keeping the ball
started
in
off.
play.
She
She
started
started
off.
off
I
fine,
remember.
yeah. I think
Yeah,
she was up a
started off
break,
2
wasn't she?
love. Yeah, she
Yeah.
was. Yeah.
Yeah, she was, which normally is the most difficult bit. That's the bit you want to get over, and then you get yourself into it. But from that moment onwards, I mean, Marketa in the second set was just keeping the ball in play, and it was enough.
I would have rather Svitolina against Ons Jabeur. Like Marketa gives her headaches because she does a lot of the similar things that Ons likes to do. So yeah, I would have much rather Svitolina been the opponent than Vondrousova. But hey, that's the cards that Ons dealt,
Yeah.
and she didn't really deal with them well. So
And it's a pity because she'd done the hard work, with Rebecca and Sabalenka. By the way, she's done a bit of hard work here. She's got a break again, so she leads 4-3. But she'd done the hard work in those two matches before, those two epic encounters, which I thought she was going to lose both. I thought she did incredibly to beat Rebecca from a set down. And I think she may even have been worse than that. I think she might have been a set and a break, or maybe she was a breakdown in the third set. I can't remember. But it was an incredible effort to overcome Rebecca. And she basically did the same trick a couple of days later against Sabalenka.
didn't Ons beat Kvitova, Sabalenka, and
Yeah, but the
Rybakina in
Kvitova
succession?
one was like a demolition, wasn't it? It was like 6
Yeah,
love, 6-1 or something.
yeah. And did she beat Andreescu? Didn't she?
Did she?
I think she beat Andreescu, Kvitova, Rybakina,
Wow.
and Sabalenka in that order. Yeah.
Wow.
It was, I think it was 3 sets for all of them, except Kvitova.
Kvitova
Maybe.
was a demolition job, yeah.
Yeah. Jabeur serving to go up 5-3. She's at 30 love. We'll see if it's been like 3 straight breaks of serve. So if she is able to hold, she'll kind of stop that back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
She has 3 game points. It might be coming.
Yeah, Andreescu, yeah. Yeah, I'm just having a look at it now. She had Fresh in the first round, then Bai in the second, 2 straight set wins. And the rescue was a close one, 6-4 in the third. Oh, so this Kvitova one was 6-love, 6-3.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the Rebecca one was actually a little bit more comfortable in the decider than I remember, 6-1.
Solid service game for Jabeur. She's up 5-3.
There you
That was
go.
one of her best holds of the match, yeah. They're showing the average service game duration on Tennis Channel. It's over 4 minutes for Vondrousova and over 2 minutes for Jabeur.
Oh, okay. So Jabeur is getting it done, or losing her serve comfortably.
Yes.
Yeah. So if we do assume that the permutations of losing 2 matches probably means you're out, let's sort of imagine that Vondrousova is on the precipice at the very least of going out, and then it's basically between Coco and Ons to go through. But the good news
Great drop
for
shot from Ons.
The good news for Coco is that she's going to be playing Vondrousova.
Mm-hmm.
The good news for Ons is that she's playing Iga, and Iga, I think, is pretty much guaranteed to go through.
Mm-hmm. I think she's guaranteed to go through by this victory of Ons in straight
Yeah,
sets.
right.
I think.
Yeah, quite possibly. So, because I don't think we can get 3 players with 2 wins now. I think.
Yeah, if Vondrousova loses this, we can't.
Yeah.
In that specific group, no.
Yeah. So then it's just one of Coco or Ons probably to go through, and it'll.
Who would you rather see in the semi? Because I think the groups then merge. Like the number 2 of the Baccalaureate group faces the number 1 of the other name of this group. So if I had it my way, I would rather. My heart.
I want Sabalenka to beat Rebecca.
Yes, I'm with that. So I want Sabalenka in the semis, and
I mean, Pegula's there.
No, actually, no, I don't.
You want Rebecca to win?
Yes, I do. I want to see the 3 of the 4 semifinalists are the women that have not won majors this year.
Okay,
that's what I'd like to see.
Yeah,
just so we can kind of get some interesting vibes going into 2024. Like, yeah, you won Wimbledon, yeah, you won the US Open, but I won the WTA Finals in a confusion Cancun. So hey, and I beat all top 10 players to do it. So I have confidence too. Speaking of confidence, Jabeur has 2 match points on Vondrousova serve here to close out this match in straight sets. Vondrousova saves one with the big heavy forehand. I don't know. Pegula's already in the semis. Swiatek's all but in the semis. So if I could put 2 more people, I'd rather it be Rybakina and Ons, actually. I mean, as a Coco fan, I'd love to see her in the semis, but just for that, just to get that a little bit of that chaos, I'd like to see Rybakina and Ons in the semis. And Ons has definitely helped her positioning by winning the match over Vondrousova. She puts away easy volley. She waits for her opponent at the net. They have a nice little hug and embrace. Looks like Vondrousova didn't do too much damage to her ankle, so that's good to see that she was able to finish the match in spite of that turn. But Ons Jabeur wins in straight sets and keeps her hopes alive of being in the semis.
Do you think? I know you said who you would like to see there, but who's favorite between Rebecca and Sabalenka? Because it is pretty close.
Given I was gonna say something about, like, given the fact that Sabalenka's complained, they've both complained about Cancun. I think Rybakina will be the steadier based off of what I've seen. You can kind of take out the Sabalenka and Sakkari match because Sakkari just put in an absolute clunker. But Sabalenka's performance against Pegula the other day was very, very up and down. Not that Rybakina can't, but Rybakina's is a little more steady with her footwork and just her overall balance. Sabalenka's balance was way all over the place. Unless she does work to change that between tonight and tomorrow, which is a tough ask, I'll give the edge to Rybakina. And Rybakina has beaten her outside of the slams every time this season, right?
Yeah. So of course the Australian Open was the biggie, which could have gone either way, of course.
It could have.
But I don't know if you've ever seen. Did you ever see the there's a 45-second chat that I've saved and occasionally play between me and Sabalenka. Have you ever seen this 45 seconds of me in arena chatting to each other in Madrid?
No, but I'd love to see it.
Let's play it. There were some Australian Open final vibes for me today, and I was looking at a couple of comparisons. Australia was 2 hours 28 minutes. Today was 2:26. I'm sure you weren't aware of that. But I tell you, 4 championship points. Does that sound familiar? And were you thinking of it during that last game?
Actually, yes, I was thinking when I was down with the break in the last game. I was thinking, okay, I did it at the Australia Open, so probably I'll be able to get this win this time again. And it's actually helped me to stay focused and to have this belief in myself. And yeah, definitely this match reminds a lot of Australia Open match.
Yeah.
I love her
really
voice. I love the tenor of her voice.
Yeah, me too. And the little giggle that she has when I say 4 championship points, does that sound familiar, you know? Does that sound familiar? Because throughout that service game, that she was, struggling to serve it out in Madrid, I was thinking, you know what, it might be difficult today, but it's nowhere near as difficult as it was in January in the Australian Open final. And she got over the line as a result, I think. And again, it brings back that old adage that we hear so often before, when you've been there and you've done it, it helps you so much more the next time it comes around. And yeah, I forget why I thought of that, but yeah, of course with Rybakina, yeah, she's won the other ones, yeah, they're not the Australian Open, but I think it's fascinating. I think it could go either way, it really could. And then Ons and Coco, obviously their scenario is in their hands, but also out of their hands if the other one loses. What kind of situation will we see with? So Ons is playing Iga, right?
Ons plays Iga and Vondrousova plays Coco next.
So I mean, Ons could. Yeah, okay, but then so Ons.
I don't think Ons is beating Iga, unfortunately.
No, I mean, but I was thinking that she could take a set and that might be enough. But then you'd need Marketa Vondrousova to beat Coco, and that's probably not happening either. So
yeah, I don't.
So
let me
Coco's
look at
still
their
the
head to
favorite,
right? I think Coco's the favorite to get to the semis. I think if she beats Vondrousova, especially in straight sets. However, I'd like to see Ons in there. I think.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind.
Let me look at the Coco Vondrousova head-to-head. I know they had a tension-filled match a couple years ago in Dubai that sticks out in my head, and they played in. Oh no, that wasn't. Was that Cincinnati they played as well? Yeah, they played in Cincinnati, didn't they? Yeah, it's Two Love Coco, and they played they played in Montreal this year, and Coco won 6-3-6 Love. Yeah. So I think Coco is the favorite to win that match, and Ons is definitely not favored to beat Iga the way Iga's been playing. So we'll see. I think my analyst head is going to put Coco in the semis, but my heart wants to put Ons in the semis. Just because Ons, I want to see her have, not that she hasn't won big titles, she's won Madrid.
She won Madrid,
Yeah, she won Madrid, but I want to. The WTA Finals win would be bigger than that, and I want to see her. I want to see what Ons brings to the table, knowing that she has a WTA Finals win over her in her trophy cabinet, and she beat she didn't just win it, but she beat her top 8 peers to win it.
Yeah, because it does feel a bit with Ons that sometimes her belief is more fragile than some of the others right now.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, fingers crossed, all to play for. All right, Miles, big thanks for you for stopping by. Make sure you give Miles a follow on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, at Tuned Into Tennis. Make sure you check out his YouTube and his Instagram and all the other jazz, social media, etc. To stay tuned into tennis. Of course, it kind of does what it says on the tin. Miles, big thank you for stopping by.
Always fun. Can't wait to do it again tomorrow. Are we doing the match? Maybe we should do the same thing we did today. And
if you can, just because I think I can get Damien for the first one tomorrow.
And the first one is inconsequential. The first one is Sakari and Pegula, and Pegula's already made the semis. So
great. So I'll tell you what then. So the second one, the second one's the biggie.
Second one is Rybakina and Sabalenka.
I would love to have you on for the second one.
I can do that.
If you can. That would be great. All right. We will see you this time tomorrow for the big one between Sabalenka and Rybakina just to decide
Winner takes all.
Winner takes all in terms of the semi-final spot. So, everyone, thank you for stopping by. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. And I'm going to play you a video that just tells you to do it again. So, there we go. See
Bye,
you.
guys.
Bye. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.